So on this worksheet, A through U is, well, the whole first side is basically just testing you on the unit circle. So A through U is giving you a ratio, a trig, and a trig function with an angle, and you have to find the ratio. So sine of 3 pi over 2, we're looking right here, 3 pi over 2, and sine is y, so right here it's 0, negative 1, so it's going to be negative 1. Okay, for B, 7 pi over 4, that's going to be right here, and that one is cosecant, which is the reciprocal of sine. So the reciprocal of radical 2 over 2 is just negative radical 2, because it's the reciprocal of sine. Okay, and sine is negative in quadrant 4. Pi over 3, tangent of pi over 3, we're up here. Okay, and it's y over x. So it's going to be 1/2 radical 3 over 2. So it's radical 3 over 2 over 1/2. So that gives you radical 3. Okay, for D, you are negative 5 pi over 6. So that means that you're going in the negative direction. You're going this way. Negative 5 pi over 6, you're going to stop right here. And it's secant. So it's the reciprocal of cosine. So it's going to be negative. Radical 3 over 2, the reciprocal of that is 2 radical 3 over 3. Negative 11 pi over 6, you're going to be, this is going negative 11 pi over 6, you're going to go all the way around and stop right here. And it's a cotangent, so this is 1 radical 3 over 2, 1/2. So when you do x over y of that, you end up with radical 3. Okay? Cosine of negative pi over 3, that's going to be right here, and they want the cosine, so the x-coordinate is 1/2. 26 over 3, this is where you change it to a mixed number, so this is going to be 8 and 2/3 pi. So when you go to the unit circle, you're going to go 2 pi, 4 pi, 6 pi, 8 pi, and 2/3 more, you're going to land about here, which is this angle right here. And so that's cosecant reciprocal of sine. And so it's going to be radical 3 over 2, so that's going to be 2 radical 3. 2 radical 3 over 3, because it's the reciprocal of radical 3 over 2. Negative 10 pi over 3 is negative 3 and 1/3 pi. So when you go around the circle, you're going negative 1, 2, 3, and 1/3 more would be right here. So you would be here, okay, at 2 pi over 3. And so the tangent there is y over x. So this is negative radical 3 over 2. I'm sorry, negative 1/2 radical 3 over 2. So it's going to be negative radical 3. Because when you do y over x, that's what you get. 19 pi over 4 is 4 and 3/4 pi. And it's secant. So we are right here. 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi, and 3/4 more, you land right here, which would be at the 135, or 3 pi over 4. And this is the reciprocal of cosine. Cosine is negative in this quadrant, so it's going to be the reciprocal of negative radical 2 over 2, which is negative radical 2. For J, it's negative 225 degrees, so you are, we're going in the negative direction, so negative 225, this is negative 180, and so negative 225, you would land right here. And so that would be, the cosine of that is negative, so negative radical 2 over 2. Cosine of 0, you are right here, and so that's 1. And then secant of negative 780. Now negative 780, let's see, 720, 60 more. So you would land negative 70, make sure, yeah, negative 780. You would land, so this is negative 360, negative 720, right? That's 2 rotations. And then we have 60 more, 60 degrees more, so we would go right here. So this is where we land in this part. So disregard. These are the answers from the other problems. I had to move the worksheet, so I apologize for that. Okay, so we're looking for the secant right here at this angle. Secant is a reciprocal of cosine. So it's positive in quadrant 4, and this would be the reciprocal of 1/2. So it would be 2. Cosecant of 2 pi over 3, that's the reciprocal of sine. 2 pi over 3 is right here. So negative 1/2 radical 3 over 2. So the reciprocal of radical 3 over 2 is 2 radical 3 over 3. Cotangent of 4 pi over 3. So 4 pi over 3 is right here. And we're looking for cotangent. And so that's x over y. Negative 1/2 over negative radical 3 over 2. So that'd be positive 1 over radical 3. So it's radical 3 over 3. So right here, radical 3 over 3. And then sine of negative 480, you subtract 360, and you still get 120, right? Left. So negative 480, you would go negative 360, and then negative 120 more, right? So 90 right here. We would land right here. And that one is sine. So negative 1/2, negative radical 3 over 2. So it's negative radical 3 over 2. And then for letter P, you are, let's see, it's negative 3, 4 goes into 13, 3 times negative 3 and 1/4 pi. So you go negative 3, so negative 1, negative 2 pi, negative 3 pi, and 1/4 more would be right here. You land right here at 3 pi over 4. And the cosine is negative, so it would be negative radical 3, sorry, negative radical 2 over 2. 47 over 6, that's 7 and 5/6 pi, right? 7 times 6, 42. You have 5 more, so 7, 5/6, and it's a sine. So it'd be 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi, 5 pi, and 5/6 more, you would land right about here, which is here. And the sign here would be, this is radical 3 over 2, negative 1/2, so it'd be negative 1/2 for Q. Secant 900, so you subtract 720 and you're still at what? You still have 180 more. So secant 900, so you go around 360, 720, and then 180 more. That takes you to 900, so you're right here at pi. And that's cosecant, that's secant, reciprocal of cosine. The reciprocal of negative 1 is negative 1. And so letter S is 13/2 pi, so that's 6.5 pi. So right here, that means going around 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi, 5 pi, 6 pi and a half more. So we land right here. And that is cotangent, so that's x over y. So 0, 1 are the coordinates up here, is a coordinate. So 0, 1 is 0 over 1. So that gives you 0. And then for negative 11 pi over 3, that's negative 3 and 2/3 pi. So back to the circle. Negative 1 pi, negative 2 pi, negative 3 pi, and then 2/3 more would be about here. So we land right here at pi over 3. Tangent is y over x. So this is 1/2 radical 3 over 2. When you put the y over the x, you get radical 3. And then we have 4, 6 goes into 25 4 times, 4 and 1/6 pi. So even numbered pi's end right here, right? So this is going to be 2, 4, and 1/6 more would land right here. So sine of pi over 6 is 1/2. Okay? Now, V, W, X, and Y. Where is sine negative? They want all the angles where this ratio is true. Sine is negative in quadrants 3 and 4. So it gives you 1/2. Now they want it in radians. Okay? So it'd be 7 pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6. And then secant equals negative radical 2, which is the same thing as cosine theta equals negative radical 2 over 2. When you take the reciprocal of radical 2, that's what you get. And so where is cosine negative? Cosine is negative here and here in quadrants 2 and 3. Those are 45-degree angles, so it's going to be 3 pi over 4 and 5 pi over 4. That's in quadrant 3. Undefined. Well, for tangent to be undefined, it has to be 1 over 0, right? And so this is y over x. So where is x 0? So x is 0 here, and it's 0 here. So pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. And last but not least, cosecant negative 2 radical 3 over 3. That's the same thing as sine theta equals negative radical 3 over 2, because that's a reciprocal, right? So sine is negative here and here. The angle that gives you that ratio of radical 3 over 2 is a 60-degree angle, or a pi over 3. So pi over 3 here would be 4 pi over 3, and here it'd be 5 pi over 3 in quadrant 4. Oops, over 3. So for A, if you notice I drew an XY plane, and the black dots represent where sine theta is negative, and the blue dots represent where cosine theta is positive. And so that means that the angle has to be in quadrant 4, where the signs are plus minus. Now cosine theta 1/2 means that you have it's the what do you call it, the ratio on the unit circle for cosine. So if cosine theta is 1/2, then we know that sine theta has to be negative radical 3 over 2, because in quadrant 4 sine is negative. And then tangent would be y over x, or sine theta over cosine theta, which would give you negative radical 3. And then reciprocals would be negative 2 radical 3 over 3, 2, and negative radical 3 over 3. Okay, for B, I would have to draw, let's see, sine theta is negative in quadrants 3 and 4. Tangent is positive in quadrants 1 and 3. So that tells me that the angles in quadrant 3, so this is the angle, it's negative 3/4, so we know that r is always positive, and it's 4 in this case. And sine, the y is negative 3. And so to find x, you use Pythagorean theorem, so it's going to be negative 3 squared plus x squared equals 4 squared. So 9 plus x squared is 16. So subtract 9, so x squared is 7. So in quadrant 3, it would be negative radical 7. So you have sine theta is, well, it was given to you, right? So that's negative 3/4. So that makes cosecant negative 4/3. And then cosine would be x over r, so negative radical 7 over 4. So this would be negative 4 over radical 7, which is negative 4 radical 7 over 7. Tangent is y over x, so it's negative 3 over negative